The college baseball experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, golf, and more. Sign up today at UnderdogFantasy.com using promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by NYRA Bets. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with promo code SGPN25. Just go to nyrabets.com/SGPN25. All right, already welcome back to a brand new episode of the College Baseball Experience. What's going on? My name is Noah Bieniek, aka 77. Going to be the first of 3 episodes that we're coming at you here this weekend of college baseball picks. Tomorrow, the plan is that Colby Dant will be joining with me to host the show as well. So he'll be on to host and talk ball as well, give out a pick or two. And I took the time today to go through the entire DraftKings slate. It was out early enough to where I was able to corral handicaps for all of the meaningful games. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any time on this because, like I said, I do have probably 20 plus handicaps here that I'm excited to go over with the people real quick. The chat's rolling along. Mike saying that he left a 5-star review. Thank you very much, Mike. Hit me up, DM me on Twitter. I know we've talked before. Just send me a screenshot and I'll send out some sunflower seeds from Chinook Seedery that I have laying around. James Roberts is in here. Elliot Money as well. Point Park with the ass whooping today. He must have been following me on Twitter. We hit 4 bombs, 3 of them of the 3-run home run variety, and then 1 grand slam as well. This is kind of like the last year where I know a lot of those guys just because of our school brings in a ton of transfers, JUCO, whatnot, and a lot of them are Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican. So our coach recruits the islands very well. So I'm starting to lose touch with the guys that are currently there, but it's like the last year that I know a good bunch of this core. Mailman Mike 3, he says, those dogs on Tuesday were fire. Noah, nice work. Thank you. There was like a card that I put out in the midweek that was like, of the 6 picks, 5 of them were dogs, and I think 4 of them hit. The only one that didn't was Pepperdine because we faded to UCLA. UCLA just curb stomped the Tides. It is what it is. The Waves, whatever. It was like 16-2. UCLA once again on the road at Fullerton this weekend. They'll probably be on the board for all 3 games since they are here on Friday. I'm very enticed to fade UCLA, but Fullerton again, not really one of the better Big West programs this year. So it is what it is. Elliot Money says my Tabor guys hopefully are going to make it to Lewis Clark, which Lewis Clark State hosts the NAIA World Series every single year up there in Lewiston, Idaho. When I was at Tabor, Javier Baez's older brother was on our baseball team, Gadiel Baez. That is awesome. That's great. UNLV 94 says, what's up? He's in the chat now too. The first game here that I'm going to touch on real quick is Mercer plus 130 at Samford minus 166. Samford's been the better program as of late. They've been dancing the last couple of years. Their pitching's very good, and they've got a really good Friday guy. Minus 166 is viable, but Mercer can hit this year. So personally, I'm not playing it. I haven't watched as much of those teams to know right from wrong. And on a full Friday slate, I'm opting to spend my money or place my money elsewhere. At the same time, first pitch between West Virginia and Cincinnati's taking place. The Mountaineers are minus 150 on the road in Cincy, plus 120 the Bearcats are. Dub V's throwing Hayden Cooper. He's 1-2 on the year with a 6.23 ERA, 17 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 34.2 innings this season with a 4.99 SIERA. Cincinnati's going with Seth Logue. He's a senior right-hander, 2-3 with a 7.42 ERA this season, 45 strikeouts, 20 walks, and 47.1 innings, 4.42 SIERA. These two both are on the more poor side of starting pitchers on a Friday that you'll see in the country. And the two offenses are very similar. West Virginia 841 team OPS, Cincy 829, WRC plus 102 and 104 respectively there too. Cincinnati's bullpen's a bit better, and they are 16-5 at home. So that's going to be the pick here for me. But I don't have a ton of conviction behind that. The next one on the DraftKings slate that we'll go through is Louisville at Boston College. And this one, I mean, they were up big on BC early. It was 8-0 in this game on Thursday. I'm pulling up the scoreboard to see what that final ended up being. Going to Warren Nolan right now as we speak. So it was 12-7 final. So Boston College had a 7-run 7th inning, and that was it. Miami ended up holding on against BYU. That one went to extra innings. Portland, San Francisco, my under 10.5 cashed with the Portland Pilots there, beating the Dons, and then the rain out between Tennessee and Florida. So that was the action today. That was bettable. So yeah, Louisville up 1-0 in the series already at Boston College. And this is what I've said with both of these teams quite a bit this season. When I'm looking to back Louisville, it has to be Evan Webster on the mound. When I'm looking to back Boston College, I want it to be John West on the mound. Both of them, in my opinion, have been the better or the best option in the weekend rotation for the respective teams. And they're both going here for game 2 on Friday. Evan Webster is a senior left-hander, 3-1 with a 3.59 ERA for Louisville, 47 strikeouts, 13 walks, and 52.2 innings with a 3.60 SIERA. And Boston College, John West is a senior right-hander. He's only 1-2, just a lot of no decisions here because he does pitch pretty well. The bullpen will give it up, and the offense doesn't score a ton. So 5.17 ERA, 51 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 62.2 innings with a 4.34 SIERA. Both offenses are pretty similar as well. Louisville's bullpen's a bit worse than Boston College, though. 7.77 weekend bullpen ERA. Boston College just a 6.03, but they are 7-12 at home this season. Louisville just 4-6 on the road. 964 team OPS there, 127 WRC plus. BC with a 967, 129 WRC plus. For this game, I ended up going with Louisville. There's not a ton that separates the two here. And I've been able to get behind Louisville. They played Clemson close in the 3-game set. They've been stringing together some good performances in the last month, where BC kind of is going the other way, and they were swept at Notre Dame. So a lot of the momentum I see that's visible is with Louisville rather than BC. So that's my pick for that game. 6:00 p.m. Eastern. Looking at DraftKings again, we have NC State at Florida State. The Wolfpack plus 190, Florida State minus 250. And this one's going to be a solid parlay piece. This is going to be one that we throw in at the end of the show here because Jamie Arnold has just been that dude for Florida State this season. Sophomore left-hander, 8-1, 179 ERA, 99 strikeouts, only 16 walks with 65 innings under his belt, and it's a 169 SIERA. Very strong there. But he's facing Sam Heifel, the grad right-hander for NC State. 4-1, 491 ERA, 53 strikeouts, 25 walks in 51.1 innings with a 413 SIERA. But the difference here is that Florida State's offense has been consistently better, and that first word is the key word, consistent, whereas NC State, you really don't know what you're getting week in, week out. Florida State's offense, 978 team OPS compared to NC State's 861. 18% better runs created wise with a 128 WRC plus there for the Seminoles. The bullpen's been better as of late, but it's still the weakness of this team with a 5.60 bullpen ERA on the weekends. NC State's though 6.41. So, and that 4-10 road record is rough. So Florida State 24-3 at home. This is a parlay piece minus 250. We'll save that one for later. And as mailman Mike 3 says, you love to fade the pussy pack. I have a feeling that Colby's going to be mentioning that on the show tomorrow as well. Speaking of, let me get to our first set of ad reads, and we'll be back in a quick minute and a half. Playoffs. That's right. Make sure to tune in all week to the NBA and hockey gambling podcasts for episodes to get you locked in for the exciting playoff action. Plus, it's Derby week on the Sports Gambling Podcast. Tune in as the guys get you ready for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Also, bet the run for the roses with NYRA bets. Score big on the Kentucky Derby with a double dose of rewards. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with promo code SGPN25. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus at nyrabets.com/SGPN25. Need more? Bet Kentucky Oaks Day with a $30 bonus. Opt in and bet at least $150 each on Belmont at the Big A and Churchill Downs, $30 win or lose. We're giving you an extra $50 for Derby 150. Bet $250 each on Belmont at the Big A and Churchill Downs for a $50 bonus win or lose. Visit nyrabets.com to opt in. The Triple Crown is here. Opt in and bet at least $25 on the Kentucky Derby and Preakness Stakes and get a $10 bonus on Belmont Stakes Day, win or lose. NYRA Bets has everything you need to bet the fastest 2 minutes in sports with confidence. For expert picks, betting insights, promotions, and more, visit nyrabets.com. Catch all the Triple Crown action on America's Day at the Races. Check out the full schedule at nyrabets.com/Fox. Alrighty, back here on the college baseball experience. We've gone through the 5 o'clock slate that DraftKings is currently offering for Friday's college baseball action. And we have one parlay piece under our belts with Florida State, the Seminoles minus 250 there. Checking in on the chat. Matt Whitehead says, go Pokes. We'll get to that Oklahoma State game in a little bit. I like it. Mike, he says, which was pick number 2 between BC UL? I have the Cards there. I'm not too confident in the pick. I like both pitchers on the mound for both teams. Matt Whitehead again with the Pokes. Oklahoma State going to take it in Austin this weekend. He's got them winning the series too. Should be an interesting one for sure. That reminds me, at the end of the show, I'll run through the 11.7 Pick'em series contests and also the big series outside of the ones that are being offered by DraftKings here that I'm at least going to be scoreboard watching. And I recommend anybody that is going to be filling out some NCAA tournament brackets, College World Series brackets, same thing, betting on any postseason college baseball. I'll be giving out some other conference series that are pretty big when it comes to just getting eyeballs on teams and prior to conference tournaments, and also whoever gets the auto bid having just a good read on what the team can offer in the postseason. Elliot Money, he says Texas has lost 7 or 8 weekend series opening games. We'll get to it. 6 o'clock in the SEC, Vanderbilt hits the road to play Georgia. The Bulldogs are minus 130. The Commodores plus 100. This is a really big overreaction, in my opinion, because Twitter was basically, the sky was falling basically on Vanderbilt baseball Twitter last weekend. I think both of these teams are pretty even to each other, pretty coin flippy. Just having a dog is kind of bold, in my opinion, especially with Bryce Cunningham on the mound, junior right-hander for Vandy. He's 6-2 with a 398 ERA, 76 strikeouts, 21 walks, and 61 innings pitched with a 265 Sierra. Aria Gerson does a great job Twitter-wise for Vanderbilt, who is kind of in the middle of the storm, the eye of the storm. She was tweeting out some home versus road splits for Cunningham here with Vanderbilt that would lead you to believe that you're not too confident in him performing as well on the road as he does at Hawkins Field. Georgia is trotting out Leighton Finley. He's a sophomore right-hander, 3-1 with a 5.10 ERA, 43 strikeouts this season, 16 walks and 47.2 innings with a 3.90 SIERA. Vanderbilt has an 857 team OPS. They have a 107 WRC plus. Georgia outdoes that by quite a bit here. 1032 team OPS, 138 WRC plus. Their bullpen, though, is much weaker than Vandy's. 705 weekend bullpen ERA compared to the Doors 534. But the Vandy boys are 4-7 on the road this season. Georgia's 24-3 at home. The pick here for me is just I'm gonna back that Georgia offense. I think they're gonna be able to control the game script, being that it's at Foley Field. And you just got to get Cunningham out of the game. Honestly, if he does show some vulnerability with some runners on base early, you got to be able to convert, but just work up his pitch count. And I think they can get into this Vanderbilt bullpen because as it stands right now, they have a TBA for game 3. They do have JD Thompson back. I've heard that Devin Fattrell is either healthy or he's back on the roster because he wasn't on the active man 2 weeks ago against Florida. So they just need to figure out like some of the roles in the pen, and that's when they are vulnerable for sure. They have Sawyer Hawks back as well. Like this, outside of Ethan McIlvain, Vanderbilt's pitching staff is as healthy as it's been this season, and they've still been pretty good. Pretty dodgy for me, who has the under on their season win total. That Sunday Mississippi State game was huge. So yeah, I'm on Georgia minus 130 there. I'm personally not pulling the trigger on that one, but that's just me not being an aggressive bettor. The next game here is the coin flip, minus 115 on both sides. Creighton at St. John's. The Blue Jays are tossing Eli Nissen, a freshman left-hander, 1-1 with a 2.52 ERA, 32 strikeouts, 10 walks, and 35.2 innings with a 3.91 SIERA. St. John's is trotting out Kyle Chase, a sophomore right-hander. He's 0-2 on the season, 4.76 ERA. He's got 16 strikeouts, only 5 walks in 17 innings pitched. This is going to be his 5th start of the year, though, with a 3.66 SIERA. So for me, I'm eliminating kind of both starting pitchers. They don't have tremendous sample sizes. I don't know how long they're going into this game. Both offenses are pretty even, with only 20 points on the OPS separating them. Creighton runs created 5% better than St. John's. But the bullpen ERA on the weekends is favoring St. John's a little bit. 4.59 for the Red Storm there compared to a 5.20 for the Blue Jays. St. John's is 18-2 at home this season. Creighton's been solid on the road, 13-6, but I'm going to take St. John's on our picks page there. Really like that strong home record. And I feel like this is truly a coin flip game. The next game here, Georgia Tech at Clemson. The Yellow Jackets are plus 150. Clemson's minus 195. This is going to be an Aiden Vinatieri against Tristan Smith game. Me personally, I trust Tristan Smith as Clemson's Friday night guy, but this price is a bit too expensive. He's had 2 shaky starts since his return from injury. So I think Clemson wins the game. Last weekend, it took a big comeback against Louisville to do it. Not because Smith blew up. It was just he gave up a chunk of runs. It was either 3 or 4. Then the bullpen early got tagged. But that's been Clemson for you this season. It's weird. A lot of the pitching depth, they don't bring it on the same day. Rarely in that case. Somebody usually gets touched up. And normally that's not a good thing. But this offense has been able to bail them out so much this season. I'm still really impressed with my preseason national title favorite based on price. Anyways, the next game here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern start. Pitt plus 150 at Notre Dame minus 195. Now I know Notre Dame is starting to turn it around. They are showing some life here, but minus 195 is a ridiculous price. Ryan Andrade for Pitt. He's had more than a couple of ACC Friday night starts under his belt now. Pitt plus 150 after getting destroyed against West Virginia at PNC Park earlier this week. I'd like to think that they'll be able to compete, but there ain't no way I'm putting money on this pick. But I'm going to take Pitt there. The next game, 6:30 p.m. This is also a pretty simple cap. Arkansas at Kentucky. The Hogs are minus 220. Kentucky plus 170. I think there's only one way to play this game with Hagen Smith on the mound against Kentucky's Trey Poozer. It's Hagen Smith. So Arkansas has not lost with him on the mound, and the under has hit in all but one of his starts this season. Mainly because Arkansas's offense hasn't been great, especially on the road. But I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to capitalize on one, Hagen Smith, and two, the top options out of the pen for the Hogs when this is ultimately going to be a close game. So I think Arkansas wins this game. This would be a parlay piece. It's basically the same thing as we were talking last year with Paul Skeens. You only get 15 Paul Skeens starts a year. Parlay it when you can. It's the same thing with Hagen. You're only going to get 15 Hagen Smith starts this season. It's a solid parlay piece. I think we can find better on today's slate for our parlay with Florida State, but we'll check off Arkansas here minus 220. We'll throw it in to the conversation at the end of the show. 6:30 p.m. Maryland at Rutgers. This one's interesting because there's no game notes that I could find on either team's websites. And that's a whole other story. One of the main providers for websites and college athletics, Sidearm Sports, crashed today. So I'm not even going to put it on some of these athletic programs, not putting out a series preview or at least game notes on a PDF file for us to view. But that's what's up there. Rutgers and Maryland, if the beginning of the season you would have told me these two are playing third to last weekend, I would have said they're probably two top three teams in the Big Ten. That's just not been the way that it's shaken out this season. Both of them have kind of hit ground zero. For me, though, Rutgers is much better at home than they are on the road. Maryland's the one team that going up into Piscataway, New Jersey, it's not really going to affect them too much because they themselves play in College Park, which is not a tremendously warm weather climate. I'm on Rutgers, though, for the pick in this game. Not much further, not knowing the pitching matchup there. The next one is just another ironic, idiotic price. Miami, minus 270. They host BYU, who's plus 200 here, moneyline dog. BYU just threatened to win against Miami in game one with Gage Zeal on the mound. Now, after Zeal, it's really been who knows. I like Schlesinger. He's a weird, funky left-hander, but he hasn't been able to put it together this year. Miami is stronger at home than they are on the road, but we just saw them go to 12 innings in game one against BYU. Plus 200 is viable for sure. Personally, I'm not going to jump on this, but BYU at plus 200 does make a ton of sense. Before we get to, 7 o'clock slate games with game notes, we're going to take our last break of the show, and then after this, we'll be home free. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting for you guys. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. You can make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a lot of fun. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. Personally, I was writing nightly articles for the college basketball experience, giving out underdog fantasy college basketball picks. We were hitting at like a 62% rate. It was very fun during the winter. So, Underdog, it's available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and Canada. They also just launched their Champions, which is their player versus player format in Florida. Make sure you sign up with promo code TCESUPN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESUPN. Welcome back to the college baseball experience. Hey, if you haven't already, the latest episode on this podcast feed, I did a live Q&A on YouTube with MLB.com and MLB Pipeline's Jonathan Mayo. I think it was very good. And me and him have known each other for quite a while. So it's nice just getting to catch up with him and talk some draft prospects. But getting to the games on Friday, we'll finish up today's slate, the last 15 games or so. We're going to start with Alabama at Mississippi State. The Tide minus 105, the Bulldogs minus 125 here. Alabama has switched around their rotation. Same with Mississippi State for what it's worth. Ferrone has been the Friday night starter for about a day or for about a week or two now. But Mississippi State moved Cal Steven off of Friday or off of game one last weekend against Vanderbilt. Cal Steven back into the Friday night role here at home at the Dude. Greg Ferrone, senior lefty for Alabama, 4-1 with a 3.10 ERA, 54 strikeouts, 16 walks and 52.1 innings with a 3.30 SIERA. And Mississippi State's going with Cal Steven, a junior right-hander who's 6-3 with a 2.77 ERA, 73 strikeouts, 15 walks, and 65 innings with a 2.66 SIERA. Cal Steven, in my opinion, transfer in this season. There's been almost nobody better than him in the SEC this season. He's put together a tremendous campaign. And Mississippi State at home this season, 22-8. Alabama on the road, just 7-8. And Alabama's pen on paper coming into the year was supposed to be pretty good. Just a 5.94 weekend bullpen ERA. Hail State's been much better in that account, 4.74. But their offense is about average compared to the national landscape. I like Mississippi State at home. And this is a fringe. I like last year during the college basketball season, we fell in love with the term fringe bet. This is one that I've bet Mississippi State so much over the last 2 weeks. We've been on top of this team. It just feels like they're probably peaking a bit too early for me with the Bulldogs. I like Mississippi State here at home. I think they get the series win over Alabama, and they should win this Friday game. They should win the Urangelo start on Saturday against Ben Hess. I think they win the first two games of the series. And then game 3 is going to be a toss-up. I'm hesitant to bet it, though. I don't know why, but that minus 125, I'm going to circle that at the end of the show. We'll get back to it. On my tablet here with filling out tally site picks, I have it currently marked as a lock. We'll see how many locks we have at the end of the show. That one might be the first one that gets bounced off. We've got a handful more of games, 10 games or so left. 7:00 p.m. start. Coastal Carolina at Southern Miss. The Chanticleers are minus 105. They've lost 5 games in a row here. The Golden Eagles minus 125 at home at Pete Taylor. Riley Eichhoff, once again, going to get the start for Coastal Carolina. Does not have a loss on his record. However, he's got a 4.96 ERA, 5 wins, 36 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 52.2 innings with a 4.02 SIERA. He's held up pretty well. After him, who knows? Coastal Carolina, 5.95 weekend bullpen ERA. Southern Miss, kind of the same, honestly. 5.74 weekend bullpen ERA. They're going with Billy Oldham, who's been their Friday guy for much of this season. He's 5-1 with a 3.96 ERA, 69 strikeouts, 20 walks, and 63.2 innings with a 3.25 SIERA. Coastal Carolina, the much better offense here, but I think when you're talking about the home team, they're going to be able to control the game script with the crowd. Southern Miss, 823 team OPS, average across the national landscape with a 100 WRC plus. Coastal Carolina, 911 team OPS, 119 WRC plus. They're 6-9 on the road, though. That's kind of been the Achilles heel for this team. When they hit the road, they lose. That's typically what happens in college sports. Southern Miss, 19-7 at Pete Taylor Park. Give me the Golden Eagles here. We're going to go with Elliot Money says he likes the over in Coastal and Southern Miss. We'll see what that game total gets spit out to. I would be cautious with it, though. Knowing that Southern Miss has got a big pitching identity as a program, and they don't hit extremely well, this one could be – I don't know if it's going to be as high scoring as other Coastal Carolina games have been this season. Ohio State at Illinois. My note here for this game is that Jack Crowder for Illinois up against Ohio State's Landon Bottleshees. Both aces here. I don't think this is the spot to fade Ohio State. They don't have much pitching depth outside of Cheese. But I would look to back Illinois game 2, game 3 when you really start to crack into that Buckeye pitching staff, because Illinois has, if not the best, a top 2, top 3 offense in the Big Ten this season. The next game here, too, we're going to zoom through as well. Ole Miss at Auburn. The Rebs plus 114 here. Auburn's minus 145. I don't really love the price at all. This pitching matchup's Riley Maddox against Dylan Watts for Auburn, Maddox of Ole Miss. Personally, I'll take the plus money with Ole Miss. Auburn, to me, has been really disappointing. They are getting Ike Irish back this weekend. That's the rumor anyway. He's missed the last few games due to injury. But there's no way in the world that I'm playing minus 145 or just picking that for our picks page for Auburn. So give me the Rebs. And if that game gets to be more of a coin flip, then we might handicap that one further. The next one on the slate here, Old Dominion minus 105 at Texas State minus 125. I'm going to go with the Bobcats. They've got Austin Eaton on the mound, and he's been a little bit better this season than Jay Cassidy for the Monarchs of ODU. Again, not one that I'm willing to put money on with a huge Friday slate. Huge for college baseball standards. Anyways, the next game, this one's a fun one. The Sunflower State Showdown between Kansas State. The Jayhawks hit the road to the Little Apple. Kansas is starting Reese Dutton, a senior right-hander. He's 7-2 on the season, 3.14 ERA, 64 strikeouts, 20 walks in 63 innings with a 3.45 SIERA. Kansas State, they've juggled around this weekend rotation for quite some time this season. They're going to go back to their grad senior left-hander, Owen Barema. He's recently had some good starts, fixed that ERA quite a bit. He's 4-3 on the year, 5.43 ERA, 67 strikeouts, 32 walks in 59.2 innings. That's a 3.76 SIERA. Kansas on the road, not bad, with a 7-5 record. Kansas State at home, they're 17-5. And they do have the better bullpen, 5.03 ERA compared to a Kansas weekend bullpen ERA of 5.96. The offenses are quite similar. I think that's the edge that does it for me here in game 1. I think Kansas State's going to be able to crack Reese Dutton, who's been Kansas's go-to guy on Friday nights. And he's been ultimately just an auto tail. But I think this game's rightfully priced. I like K-State at home here. The next game that we'll touch on is South Carolina at Missouri. The Gamecocks are minus 200. The Tigers plus 145. South Carolina had also been throwing off the last 2 weekends. They don't even really have a labeled ace, but Roman Kimball, in my opinion, early on in the year, his stuff looked the best out of the staff. He's now in that Friday night role. However, he hasn't really performed the best out of their group of starting pitchers. So this is an interesting price. South Carolina is getting that Friday night label against Missouri, who's not a great SEC team. We all know that. But I think Missouri could be live here. They're going to throw Logan Lunsford. He's not the guy that I like to back when it comes to this Tigers pitching rotation. I like to do it with Javen Pimentel. He's back in the rotation. He'll start game 2 this weekend. He missed last weekend. For me on the picks page, I am going to take Missouri, but I'm not betting that one personally. Elliot Money says he's going to have boots on the ground in the Little Apple, and he will be chirping. Big Kansas State fan there for sure. Shout out to Elliot. Big college, sports fan in general. In here, college football, college basketball, and college baseball season. I respected Elliot. Jerry Davis goes, "What's up, Noah? I miss college basketball. Don't we all?" In college basketball, you are able to, bet it every day, which college baseball you can, but you get the smaller conferences that have action every day. And we follow everything with the college baseball experience, and our edges on those squads were second to none. I wish in college baseball, but I still feel like we've got a pretty sizable edge. There's a couple of games that get priced to where I'm just like, why? This one is the series of the week in my eyes. Louisiana travels to Troy, minus 110 for the Raging Cajuns. The Trojans minus 120 here. We're talking about the number 1 team in the Sun Belt currently in Louisiana, the number 2 team in the Sun Belt currently in Trojans of Troy. Andrew Herman's going to get the start for Louisiana. He's a southpaw junior, 5-2 this season, 2.70 ERA, 56 strikeouts, 22 walks, and 56.2 innings with a 3.56 Sierra. Troy's going to try out Garrett Gaines. He's a junior right-hander. He's 1-2 on the year with a 4.75 ERA, 40 strikeouts, 20 walks, and 30.1 innings with a 3.55 Sierra. Here's where, for me coming into the season, Troy was my favorite Sun Belt team this year. I remember giving them out in the NCAA Insiders, College Baseball Insiders pamphlet in the preseason. I really like this Trojan squad. However, Louisiana can really pitch it. They're 10-5 on the road this year. They're solid when they go away from the Teague. Troy, solid at home too, 16-5. They do have the much better offense here, 953 team OPS, 127 WRC plus. This is a big time toss up game. I want to take Herman. I think that he has the ability to be a game breaker in game 1 on the road at Troy more than Gaines does. But the home teams usually in college baseball control game script. This is going to be probably more of an offensive type of game, and that favors Troy, and that should favor Troy throughout the series. So I like the Trojans. I do. It's that one's a tough one for sure. That one's going to be interesting. All 3 games. I highly recommend you to tune in. We're talking about Louisiana, who is on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. Troy, who seems to be on the right side currently, but they have a lot of work to do over the last 3 weeks to stay on the right side. Jerry Davis doing the hard work for me, asking everybody to hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a rating or a review wherever you're listening to this podcast on all podcast platforms. I would greatly appreciate it. Now let's get to a lock. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Oklahoma State at Texas, minus 115 both ways. Give me the Pokes here with Sam Garcia, their Friday night guy this season. He's a senior southpaw, 4-3, 3.70 ERA, 82 strikeouts, 10 walks, and 58.1 innings. He's got a 180 SIERA that's elite. Texas has inverted their weekend rotation for quite some time now. They go with LeBaron Johnson on Sunday, who's been their best pitcher the last 2 seasons going. Ace Whitehead has been great this season, but he lacks a little bit of consistency. Max Grubbs is an innings eater. Now, that's great for most college baseball staffs, but it doesn't win you games on Fridays. And Texas has lost 7 straight Friday night games, or just game ones in general in Big 12 play. Oklahoma State here is my lock. Oklahoma State offensively, they're right there neck and neck with Texas. 910 team OPS compared to Texas 930, 115 WRC plus compared to Texas 118. But they've got the better pitching staff and the better weekend bullpen ERA, 495 there for the Pokes. Texas 534. Oklahoma State, they're not terrible on the road either, 10-9 compared to Texas and 19-13 at home. The 10-9 is a great road record in college baseball. Give me the Pokes, minus 115. That's one of my locks here for this Friday slate. The next game, we're staying in the state of Texas, where Oklahoma travels to Texas Tech. The Sooners are plus 114. The Red Raiders minus 145. Braden Davis on the mound for the Sooners. He's a junior left-hander. 5-3 this season with a 4.97 ERA, 76 strikeouts, 32 walks in 58 innings pitched. He has a 3.15 SIERA. Texas Tech going with their freshman Ryan Free. Actually, that's not their freshman. He's a senior left-hander. Sorry. He's 5-0 with a 4.58 ERA, 28 strikeouts this year, 14 walks in 35.1 innings with a 4.40 SIERA. Texas Tech at home, 23-6. Oklahoma, not bad on the road either, 10-5. But when Texas Tech wins in the Big 12, it's usually in Lubbock. And they've got the matchup edge all the way around, in my opinion. The better starter, the better offense, better bullpen. Give me the Red Raiders. Minus 145. That's going to be another one that I'll circle, and we'll come back to at the end of the show, and see how many locks we have at the end. 8:00 p.m. start. Texas A&M, another Texas team here. Actually, I jumped over 2 games. UCF at Houston, the Space City Series. Both of these cities claim to be Space City. Orlando and Houston, both big NASA areas or whatever. I wonder if UCF's going to break out their Space City uniforms on the road. Would be absolutely hilarious. For Friday, though, I like Houston at plus money. It's plus 100 compared to UCF minus 130. They have Cade Satelli going compared to UCF's Ben Vespi, who's shown a little bit more signs of weakness in that Friday role lately for the Golden Knights. One reason why they've slipped as of late as a team. He was automatic early on. Since we've gotten deeper into the Big 12 play, there's been some cracks in his armor. I like the Cougars here at home. And then the other game is TCU at Baylor. This is quite similar to the Hagen Smith handicap. Look for an under, in my opinion, with TCU Baylor. Yes, Peyton Tolley's on the mound. You're going to want to play TCU. However, they're terrible on the road. They have a really bad road record, and these are 2 poor offenses. Mason Marriott has been good lately. I think his last start was an L, but he had 3 good starts prior to that. So he's kind of in a groove right now. Tolley's been the best pitcher for TCU. I would like an under in TCU Baylor when that one releases tomorrow afternoon. Now let's get to that 8:00 start between Texas A&M and LSU. The Aggies hit the road. They're minus 130 favorites in Baton Rouge, plus 100 for LSU. I'll turn my page here as we don't have many more games to go. Ryan Prager on the mound for Texas A&M. He's been absolutely dominant this year. This pitching staff for Texas A&M continues to fly under the radar. Like, I listen to a lot of content on college baseball in my free time just because I am able to. I don't know who I was listening to when I heard it, but this Texas A&M staff, their numbers are good for a reason. This is a very, very good staff. And Prager is the head of the Dragon. 8-0, 259 ERA. He's dominant. He's got 80 strikeouts in 59 innings with only 9 walks. Like, I can't believe I can't remember the source, nor do I really want to out him. But like, just saying that Texas A&M's pitching staff, has just kind of been carried by the offense is incorrect. I think this is the most complete team in college baseball this year. LSU is going to go with Gage Jump, as they have recently the past couple of Friday nights or just game ones in the SEC. He's a junior southpaw, 4-1 with a 3.62 ERA, 63 strikeouts, 16 walks, and 49.2 innings with a 2.46 SIERA. I say all of that. I jump on the soapbox for the Texas A&M pitching staff only to say this one feels like a gigantic trap spot. Texas A&M minus 130 does seem like it's cheap. I would say you're going to get good CLV on this pick for sure, but this one feels a lot like Thursday night's Tennessee at Florida, where not a whole lot separates the two teams on the mound and at the plate. If Jump brings it, if Prager brings it, this should be a low scoring game. Texas A&M, they do have an edge at the plate for sure. 139 WRC plus compared to LSU 119 WRC plus, but LSU's fine at home. They're 23-8 at home this year. A&M 9-4 on the road. They can win a road game when they need to as well. For me on Friday, with Prager going, Texas A&M is going to be a bet. I'm going to take the minus 130. I'm going to bite the hook. Give me the cheese with the Aggies. This price is going to close around minus 150, minus 170. This is going to jump, I would say, sizably. I think that's going to be a popular pick tomorrow, just like Tennessee was on Thursday. However, when Luke Coleman's going against this week, it's Justin Lampkin, and both teams have a TBA on Sunday, I think LSU is definitely live. And we're catching prices like this when a lot of people are jumping on Texas A&M. I'd wait till an hour or close to first pitch, and Tigers might be a play just by, you have to, with the value that would be there. It's a desperate team that has plenty of talent that weren't playing to the capability that they were able to early on in the SEC play. Now after A&M, the schedule kind of opens up for them, but they need to take at least one against the Aggies to really try to backdoor their way into the NCAA tournament this season. So Texas A&M is going to be a bet for me here on Friday, but proceed with caution for sure. The next game here is UCLA at Fullerton. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. UCLA is minus 125 at Fullerton minus 105. Fullerton's not good enough to really take advantage of UCLA's woes this season. They're like 3-15 on the road this year. It's UCLA's Luke Jewett against Fullerton's Makia Negrete. But there's not really an edge on the mound there. UCLA just put up 15 runs in the midweek. Maybe their offense found it. I'm not looking to play any money on that game. 9:00 p.m. Eastern, 6:00 p.m. Pacific. Arizona is hosting Stanford. The Wildcats are minus 195. The Cardinal plus 150. Starting for Stanford is Matt Scott, sophomore right-hander. He's 4-6 with a 4.71 ERA. He's got 84 strikeouts, 27 walks in 63 innings pitched with a 2.70 SIERA. Jackson Kent has been great this year for Arizona on Fridays. He's a sophomore left-hander, 3-1 with a 2.41 ERA, 70 strikeouts, 20 walks, and 67.1 innings with a 3.20 SIERA. This guy's been great. Arizona's been great at home, 15-7. Stanford 7-9 on the road. This is the parlay piece that I like more than actually Arkansas. My podcast parlay for today is going to be Florida State and Arizona. It's plus 111, those two combined. Arizona this season has, I thought they were going to do better than preseason expectations most people had for their program, but I didn't think that they would be this good. Their weekend bullpen ERA 4.35, Stanford's 7.25. That's a huge edge here. And also, like I mentioned, Cardinal losing record on the road. Give me the Wildcats on Friday. 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Oregon at Utah. This is actually incorrect, I think. I think Utah is at Oregon. So I think DraftKings has this one misplaced. Give me 2 seconds. Utah baseball schedule. Either this is misplaced on DraftKings or I did it wrong in my notes. Let's see. Let's find out. Yeah, Utah is at Oregon. Trust my gut. I don't know what DraftKings is over here doing. I wish Utah was at home because I would love to bet them. That would give me even more conviction on this pick. I think they win the game. However, on the road, I think is a little bit more tough because it's a hitter's ballpark over there, PK Park. And Oregon's been solid this year at home, 19-7. Utah's been great. They've only lost one series this year. It was to Oregon State. They're 13-7 on the road this year. Bryson Van Sickle going on Fridays has been a huge part of that for the Utes. He's a senior left-hander. He's 3-0 with a 2.62 ERA, 42 strikeouts, 15 walks, and 65.1 innings with a 4.25 SIERA. The reason why the park here specifically nerves me a little bit is that this whole Utah pitching staff has been great this year, but their pitch to contact guys in that shoebox that is PK, I think this is like the kryptonite for guys like Van Sickle, like Merritt, like this Utah pitching staff. And the offense, it's a little bit above average, but same with Oregon. So the Ducks, they're going to trot out RJ Gordon, junior right-hander. He's 5-4 this season, 4.55 ERA, 61 strikeouts, 28 walks, and 61.1 innings with a 4.09 SIERA. The offense is, like I said, very similar. Utah 842 team OPS, Oregon 876, 105 WRC plus for Utah, 109 WRC plus for Oregon. And Oregon's got the bit better of a pen, 4.27 bullpen ERA on the weekends there. Utah 5.03. I think Utah wins game one with Bryson Van Sickle, but I don't feel confident putting money behind it like I've previously stated. I think there's a sizable edge in the starting pitcher matchup, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot of confidence for me in this pick, taking the Utes. Second to last game that we'll cover on this show here today, Cal against USC at UC Irvine. Yes, you heard that correctly. It's just been the way it's gone this year for USC because they are remodeling, revamping, redoing their ballpark. So they don't have a home field this year. Cal is going to go with Austin Turkington like they have the last few weeks. He's their opener, kind of like the Chris Stamos of Tennessee. And then Luke Short comes out for Cal, kind of like the AJ Causey does for Tennessee. And Luke Short has been great. He's a grad left-hander. He's 3-2, 5.25 ERA this season, 39 strikeouts, 16 walks, 48 innings with a 4.28 ERA or SIERA. Sorry. And USC's going with Tyler Stromsburg, senior right-hander. He's 2-8 with a 5.55 ERA, 42 strikeouts, 14 walks, 48.2 innings with a 3.87 SIERA. For me, I'm going to lock up Cal. There's no home edge here for USC. Cal 8-8 away from home. They're the much better offense here as well. 885 team OPS with a 111 WRC plus. We're talking about a USC team that's been abysmal on the offensive side of the ball. 740 OPS, 84 WRC plus. Give me Cal. I think they win game 1, and I think they win game 2. I think they win the first 2 games of the series with Ian May on the mound in game 2. And Cal takes the road series here at Irvine against USC. So that's a lock for me. Cal's plus 100, USC minus 130 there. The only reason why USC, you could have confidence in USC being favored here is their bullpen's a bit better. 4.75 weekend ERA on from the back end for the Trojans compared to Cal's 6.30, but this is priced as a home game for USC and they're not at home. Checking up with the chat real quick. Chef Champ says Noah Bieniek, the real life boss, motherfucker. Matt Whitehead says, bet a lot of games are delayed on Saturday with weather storms in the South like last weekend. I did not know that. I didn't look at the weather. Thank you for that update. That should suck this weekend. Danny Dumbshit says this game was moved to LA Sports Arena for the Cal USC game. The last game that I'll hit on real quick for today's show, Oregon State's minus 250 in Pullman against Washington State, plus 190. The Beavers have a losing road record this season. Their last road series at Cal, they were swept. Grant Taylor's been solid for Washington State in game 1s this year for the Cougars. Aiden May just came off a great, outstanding start. Could be a little bit of a letdown. I don't know. He's not been elite like most people expected him. I didn't really think that May was going to be an elite Friday night guy for Oregon State. He's been great, but he's not a guy at minus 250 that you're throwing into parlays every other week. Washington State's going to be my pick for the picks page, and that does it. So we ran through the entire DraftKings slate here. My locks that I've circled for this weekend slate, I like Oklahoma State minus 115 is my favorite pick at Texas. Then I like Texas A&M minus 130 at LSU. I like Mississippi State minus 125 hosting Alabama. That is, I'm going to keep that one. I said that was, fringe. I'm gonna remove Texas Tech. I'm not too comfortable with the Red Raiders there fading Braden Davis of Oklahoma. But I'm going to cap off the show with Cal plus 100. And then the podcast parlay for today is Florida State with Jamie Arnold and Arizona Jackson Kent. Both of those two large money lines combined together in a money line parlay are plus 111. Thank you all for tuning in. After midnight Eastern, we had over 157. Just click on the show, whether it be Twitter or YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. You can follow me at NoahB77_. You can follow the show at TCE on SGPN on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well. Personally, we'll see if I ramp that up for the postseason of college baseball here. That's the plan. Whether I get the time, though, is the question mark, because it's all a solo one-man job here with the college baseball experience. No producer, as I'm the producer for college basketball and college football. Check out the last show that we just did with Jonathan Mayo. If you're interested in the MLB draft, I mean, that'll always be there too, so you can go back whenever you want and listen to that. But I think that was a great episode. We were able to talk about his 25th anniversary with the MLB with MLB.com. He received the MLB golden ticket for 25 years of service, which is able to get him into every MLB stadium. It's safe to say that I'm pretty jealous of that man. Good friends. I played college ball with his son, so it was really cool to talk to him again. Matt Whitehead said, "Thanks for all the content. Y'all are the best. Cheers from Tulsa." Shout out to you, Matt. Yeah, May and June, expect close to daily college baseball experience episodes. We'll be ramping things up here as we get closer into postseason time. And for the third year in a row, I'll be going live every single night talking conference tournament games. And then every single night talking the NCAA tournament. So without further ado, I mean, you've been listening to the college baseball experience. You better start thinking about yours. Adios, amigos.